All right, let's dive right in here, gang. Trump just got what many are calling a huge victory in court. An appeals court has stepped in and once again lifted a gag order imposed on President Trump by Mr. Freeze Miser himself, the publicly half-naked New York joke of a justice, Arthur Engoron. Don't you think he looks like Freeze Miser? Remember Freeze Miser from A Year Without Santa Claus? I mean, it's uncanny. That is when he actually has his clothes on. I don't want to contemplate what he resembles then. You know, this is the same guy, this Freeze Miser judge. He has a penchant to post half-naked selfies on an alumni newsletter that he reportedly controls. I mean, the selfies are, to say the least, bizarre. But they suggest that all is not well with this fellow Judge Engoron. Something seriously wrong with Judge Freeze Miser. To say that he has a penchant for self-humiliation would be an understatement. But again, I think it just underscores just how bizarre this whole court case, frankly, is. And it appears that the appellate courts are agreeing. House GOP Chairwoman Elise Stefanik of New York filed an ethics complaint accusing the judge of displaying ridiculous levels of judicial bias against President Trump, particularly his wife as well. And the appellate judge agreed, stating that Judge Freeze Miser's gag order on a presidential candidate during an election raises serious constitutional and statutory issues. Do you think so? Really? Placing a gag order on a major presidential candidate, the opposition party's candidate, during an election year, you think that poses some constitutional issues? I mean, slapping a gag order on a presidential candidate is par for the course in a banana republic, but a constitutional republic? Judge Freeze Miser apparently is going to have to think twice about that. So obviously Trump wasted no time in raising his voice in response to the lifting of this gag order. He took to Truth Social and utterly savaged the clowns behind this kangaroo court. Quote, AG Letitia Peekaboo James is running for governor of New York again. That's why she, with the help of a very complicit Judge Engoron, who has cut my values to a tiny fraction of what they really are worth in order to claim fraud, has brought this ridiculous case against me. Other businesses are seeing this miscarriage of justice as fleeing New York and are fleeing New York. Violent crime is not fleeing, however. It is setting new records on a daily basis. Now, this ruling that completely frees up Trump to say whatever he wants about this kangaroo court comes on the heels of another huge ruling in the state of Georgia. It's being widely reported that a federal district court judge there has just ruled that the electronic voting machines used by the state of Georgia have substantial flaws, security flaws, and must undergo judicial review. Now, we talked about this in a video yesterday. Federal Judge Amy Totenberg, she's just denied a motion filed by Georgia election officials to dismiss a case that claims that the state's electronic voting system is indeed secure. And if you caught my video on this yesterday, the judge cited a study known as the Halderman report. It's a report that was put together by University of Michigan computer science professor Alex Halderman. It supposedly identified a number of vulnerabilities, particularly in Dominion voting machines, vulnerabilities that have been corroborated, supposedly, again, by federal authorities as well. This according to an NBC News report. More than 20 cybersecurity experts has since defended Halderman's report, and apparently it has convinced this federal judge. So now there are going to be hearings in early January to determine whether Georgia can even use these electronic voting machines or whether they are, by virtue of their security risks, a violation of voting rights. I mean, gang, this is huge, precisely because if this judge does rule in early January that the use of these machines involves a violation of voting rights, obviously the sham Fulton County case against President Trump completely collapses. Trump is immediately exonerated as fighting against an election that, again, could have, again, not necessarily did, but could have been compromised given the nature of the voting equipment that was used. Moreover, to make matters even worse for these corrupt hacks, the Fulton County DA's office is now openly admitting that this trial for President Trump may end up stretching way past the 2024 election, getting well into 2025. Again, this is such a humiliation for Fannie Willis. I mean, I don't even know what to say here. Over and over again, Fannie Pants Willis, has been promising her fellow woke ilk that she would have Trump convicted by early next year.
But first, gang, I gotta tell you, I was utterly shocked when I was recently shown just how easy it is to access the deed to my house, and not just access it, but change it. I mean, if you don't know, the deed to your home is the only document that proves you own it. But the problem is that the deeds to all our homes are now online, and criminals are free to find our deeds, forge our signatures, refile as the new owner of our homes, take out tons of loans using our home's equity, and then stick us with the debt. And by the way, if you think homeowners insurance is going to bail you out, you got another thing coming. But that's where our good friends over at Home Title Lock come in. Gang, they're absolutely amazing. Home Title Lock gives you the peace of mind that the deed to your home is absolutely and completely protected. Click on that link below right now and use promo code Turley Talks. And all you have to do is enter your address for your no obligation home title scan to see if you've already been a victim of deed theft. I mean, that's $100 value, absolutely and totally free if you use my promo code Turley Talks. Gang, don't wait for the worst to happen only to regret that you didn't do something about it when you could have. Click on that link below right now and secure your home today.
And talk about unraveling. Talk about, I mean, what do you even say about Biden at this point? I mean, this guy literally cannot find his way off a stage. I mean, seriously, this is a recurring problem. The guy doesn't know where he is. This is just what happened yesterday. The guy, he literally is unaware of his surroundings. And the Democrat establishment, they just simply can't hide it anymore. They can't hide it from voters. Everyone is seeing. I mean, they were, let's be honest, they were relatively successful for the first year and a half of this regime. But now, I mean, it's just so painfully obvious to the vast majority of the nation. Wait until you see these polls. I mean, Biden is in a polling free fall right now, a free fall. Now, we knew this. If you're a regular to this channel, and if not, make sure you smack that bell and subscribe button. But if you're a regular to this channel, you'll know we have been predicting for months now that Biden's poll numbers were only going to get worse. It's because we have a historical pattern to draw from on that. The pattern for incumbents that has been inescapable in our nation's history. The pattern for incumbents is that during economic downturns, their poll numbers always fall. No incumbent has won re-election if there's even the perception of a recession in the last 2 years of their being in office. And when you compare our current economic downturn with Biden's own cognitive degeneracy happening, getting worse and worse right before our very eyes every single day, where the guy literally falls asleep mid-sentence as he tries to mutter his way through some incoherent, rambling speech. I mean, he's such an international embarrassment. I'll never forget when I was in Japan over the summer. I shared this with you guys with a video from there, live from there, right? If you could hear how the Japanese utterly mock and ridicule and laugh at this guy. I mean, it is so sad. And we're talking some of the most highly etiquette, polite people on the planet. Okay. You don't mock and ridicule publicly. They couldn't help themselves. He is such a bumbling fool at this point. And you combine those two things with the degenerating economy and a degenerating cognitive ability. I mean, the combination of those two are just putting him in a poll free fall. But the amazing news is that Trump, with his latest court triumph, is surging. He's experiencing the opposite. I mean, we're seeing polls now that are giving him a lead that never, ever had him in the lead like in the last 7 years. He's never been either in 2016 or 2020. Now he's in the lead. He's literally pummeling Biden in the polls. He has a lead over Biden now, comparable to the way Biden led Trump in 2020 in the polls.